Today starts a new diagnostic mindset. Troubleshooting as a repeatable skill, not a personality trait. Diagnosis means separating what matters from what does not, then proving it with evidence. In this series, we will move from first principles to root cause analysis, using electrical intuition that works on real systems. The goal is not to guess right. The goal is to eliminate uncertainty efficiently and safely. A lot of techs believe good troubleshooting is a natural gift. You either have the knack or you do not. The reality is that diagnosis is learnable. It is patience, persistence, and method. The difference between guesswork and diagnosis is structure: observation, hypothesis, test, and update. The fastest troubleshooters are not the most confident. They are the most disciplined about letting evidence steer. Before we diagnose anything, we anchor on the three basic quantities. Voltage is electrical potential difference, the pressure or energy per charge between 2 points. Current is charge flow rate, how much charge passes a point per second. Resistance is opposition to charge motion, where electrical energy gets converted to heat. Most field problems reduce to one of these being missing, blocked, misdirected, or unexpectedly bypassed. If you can reason clearly about where voltage should exist, where current should flow, and what resistance should be present, you can find faults faster than any part swapping approach. This is one of the most powerful troubleshooting ideas: electrically common points versus electrically distinct points. Electrically common means the points are connected by a conductor of negligible resistance. They should be at the same potential, meaning essentially 0 volts difference. Electrically distinct means the points are separated by resistance or insulation. A voltage difference is possible. A key caution: connected in a schematic does not guarantee common in real life if there is corrosion, a loose terminal, a broken conductor, or a failed contact. So we use measurements to confirm whether points are truly common or truly distinct under operating conditions. Most circuits are built from 2 connection patterns. Series: 1 path. Current must be identical through each series element. One open anywhere stops everything. Voltage divides across the series elements. Parallel: multiple paths between common nodes. Voltage is the same across each branch. Current divides by branch impedance. One branch failing does not necessarily stop the others. When diagnosing, your job is to recognize which architecture you are dealing with, because it tells you what normal measurements should look like. Every working circuit is an energy cycle. A source boosts charge carriers to high potential. That is where energy is added. A load drops potential. That is where energy is released as work, heat, motion, or light. A practical diagnostic question: where is energy supposed to be added, and where is it supposed to be released? If the load is not doing work, either the source is not boosting potential, or the energy is not reaching the load, or the load cannot convert it. This sets up a powerful source path load logic for every troubleshooting job. An open circuit is a broken path. Effectively infinite resistance and 0 continuity. Symptom in current: current falls to 0. Everything downstream stops. Symptom in voltage: full source voltage appears across the break, because the energy drop happens at the open point. This is why a voltage measurement across a suspected open can be so revealing. If you see full source voltage across that point, you have likely found the break. Then the next step is to locate whether it is a wire, a connector, a fuse, a switch contact, or a terminal. A short circuit is unintended continuity, a new path with near 0 resistance. Symptom in voltage: voltage between the shorted points collapses toward 0 volts because they become equipotential. Symptom in current: current can spike dangerously because the intended load is bypassed. In real systems, short might not be perfectly 0 resistance. It can be partial, intermittent, wet contamination, insulation breakdown, or a strand touching ground. The diagnostic move is the same. Identify where voltage disappears unexpectedly and where current is bypassing the intended path. This slide ties together the open and short concepts by showing how voltage maps across a circuit. In normal operation, You get distinct voltage steps across each load. With an open in the middle, voltage extends up to the break from one side and back to the break from the other side, and the full voltage is across the break. With a short across a load, that load has essentially 0 volts across it, and the remaining loads may see more of the source voltage than expected. The key mental model: voltage is not used up gradually by distance. It drops across impedance. So you look for where the expected voltage drop is missing or displaced. Here is the core troubleshooting loop. Observe. State the symptom precisely. Not "it is broken," but "the lamp is off." The motor hums. The signal is stuck at 4 milliamps. The fuse opens on start. Hypothesis. Propose a cause that would produce that symptom. Experiment. Perform a test that could disprove the hypothesis quickly and safely. Analysis. Update your model based on results. Reject ideas contradicted by data. Logical integrity matters. If your measurement contradicts your theory, the theory has to change. This loop prevents wasted time and prevents you from testing randomly. Occam's razor is a field-friendly statistic. The explanation requiring the fewest assumptions is usually correct. One single common failure is usually more likely than multiple simultaneous unrelated failures. So pursue the most probable single fault first. Power supply missing, feed broken, protective device open, common point lost, connector failure, one sensor failed, one actuator jammed. This does not mean the simple explanation is always correct. It means you test it first because it is the best bet. Then you escalate only if evidence forces you. Divide and conquer is the fastest way to shrink a search zone. Instead of checking every point in order, you take a midpoint measurement and ask, is the expected voltage present here or not? That one measurement can cut the possible fault region in half. Then you repeat. Midpoint again within the remaining suspect region. This approach turns long wiring runs and complex panels into a small number of decisive measurements. It also reduces disruption because you are measuring intelligently, not disassembling everything. This is a classic diagnostic trap. Absence of a reading does not automatically prove a component is good. A conclusive measurement is one that proves a specific condition. Example: voltage present at a point can conclusively prove an upstream fuse is not open. But 0 volts at a point might be inconclusive if the circuit is de-energized, the switch is open, or the system state is not demanding power. A measurement is only meaningful if the system is in a state that would reveal the fault. So always ask, should this point be energized right now? And, is the circuit being commanded to operate? Fixing the symptom is not the same as fixing the problem. The symptom is what you noticed. A secondary cause is what failed in response, like a fuse opening. The root cause is what created the conditions for that failure, like a heating element shorting. If you only replace the fuse, you are buying time, not solving the fault. Root cause analysis means you identify the initiating failure, correct it, and then verify the system no longer produces the same stress conditions. This is how you prevent repeat calls and repeat downtime. A diagnostician's first duty is to survive the investigation. Never work alone on dangerous circuits when CPR response is not available. Maintain insulation, barriers, insulated tools, intact meter leads, correct categories and ratings for the environment. Avoid live work whenever possible, especially above 30 volts where shock risk increases. Use the one-hand rule when probing energized circuits to reduce the risk of current path across the chest. Also, choose the least invasive test first. Start with observation and non-contact checks, then move into energized measurements only when necessary and permitted. Thanks to Tony Kupalt and the open source community for making high-quality learning resources freely available.